Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the Gameweek 30 deadline stream. Now it's been so long, it feels like FPL has really taken quite a bit of a backseat over the last few days. Yeah, FA Cup weekend, etc. I feel like just a bit of thoughts before we even get started on today's stream is that it has this international. It's even felt like an international break, where this break has felt pretty quiet for FPL. Right, so either ways, we are back here for Game Week 30 deadline, and basically FPL is finally back. It's felt like it's been such a long time since we had a deadline, but yeah, we are good to go for this week. And yeah, I'm just about to talk through my team as well as the captaincy selections. But just before we get on with all our content for the Game Week 30 deadline stream, let me just say hi to some of you guys in the chat. Thank you for coming early. We are quite a while away from the actual deadline, which is actually 4.5 hours from now. So there's quite a bit of time, lots of time to just chat FPL. It's really been a while. And yeah, interact with you guys. So thank you for coming early. Tarlo Dre 5507 says, can't wait for the game week. Yeah, it's really felt like it's been quite a long time, right? Akil, nice to have you in the chat. Henry as well. Mumbai Gaming, nice to have you in the chat too. So before we get to all of the questions that you guys have, let me just quickly run through my team. And since I didn't make a video for Game Week 29, let me just run through some of my scores for Game Week 29 before we get started. So basically for Game Week 29, which has felt like an age ago now, I got a total of 61 points. But really, the standout for me for Game Week 29 was Ismail Assar against Spurs. He got a 15-point haul, so that one really saved my game week, because aside from that, the rest of my players didn't really do too much. Bruno Fernandes with an 8-pointer, Hill also with an 8-pointer, but yeah, that was pretty much it. Gabriel, everyone has him, so 11 points doesn't really set me apart. So it was really Ismail Assar who saved my game week for Game Week 29. So as it stands, I'm currently at 433k in the world, and yeah, still quite a number of chips left to go. I've used my triple captain already, so what remains is the bench boost, the wild card, and bench boost, wild card, and also the free hit, right? So there's lots of talk, which we will also cover in today's stream, that when is the best time to use your chips, basically, right? Because after the FA Cup draw and also some of the results that we've had over the last weekend, we can kind of it's not certain exactly when is the best strategy and when is the best weeks to use your chips, but basically we can roughly have a sensing, right? And then as we get a little bit more information, once the second leg of the Champions League games are completed, then we will have a better idea of who exactly is going to blank and double in those respective weeks. But as it stands, as we'll cover later on, there is a rough schedule that we can work around. So yeah, that's for Game Week 29. For Game Week 30, as it stands, this is how my team is looking. I have Raya in goal, and then I have Hill, Gabriel, and Virgil van Dijk. Actually, the back line looks really strong this week, so I'm happy enough to go with this back line. The other two of my defenders on the bench are Mukiele, who's currently red flag, so last on the bench. He's also not going to play after the press conference yesterday. Pretty much he's not back fit yet. Rodon is also on the bench. I mean, Crystal Palace away, I'd rather have Ismail Assar in my starting 11 here after what he did in Game Week 29. And yeah, Rodgers on the bench. I'm actually trying to find a way to fit Rodgers into the team. And captaincy for now, for my team, is on Bruno Fernandes, captain. I'm not feeling super comfortable having two Fulham players against Nottingham Forest away. So I am actually thinking whether I should start Rodgers instead of either one of Wilson or Iwobi. So let's see what happens. I mean, given that Wilson is yellow flagged, I may choose to drop him down to the bench. But Marco Silva yesterday did say that he is probably going to be in contention, but no confirmation as to whether he starts. So that's pretty much my team. And let's have a look at some of your questions. By the way, let me know if you guys can hear me clearly as well. All right. I assume that given I've been chatting for a while, if there was an issue, you guys probably would have raised it already. All right. So let me know if you guys can hear me, and let's get started with all the questions. All right. Keel says, do I sell Haaland to Pedro or Semenyo to Verts or save the extra transfer for 31? Right. So basically, for those who are intending to sell Haaland, I mean, there is some talk about potentially Man City and even Liverpool prioritizing the Champions League, and that does to a certain extent make sense as well, right? Because Real Madrid are currently 3-0 up against Man City. If they want to do, if they even want to have a chance, they have to make sure that the best players are available for that game. So maybe there's just a small chance. I mean, even if Haaland starts, there's a small chance he comes off early, right? So I'm not going to rule that out. I think that's mainly also why I have him not as captain or vice captain. And then for Liverpool as well, against Galatasaray, there's going to be a huge tie. And pretty much they're going to want to prioritize that as well. So maybe there's some talk of Ekatike potentially not starting. But again, it's all predictions. No one really knows at this point who's going to start or who's going to be benched, right? But say for example we feel like Ekatike is going to be benched, then potentially how they could line up is Ngmoa on the left, Gakpo up front, and then on the right it'd be either Salah or I mean it probably would be Salah, right? That's what you would think. But yeah, I mean pretty much Liverpool and Man City, you would think they want to prioritize the Champions League. So it's hard to say whether Haaland or Ekatike starts. But yeah, for now, that's my thoughts surrounding the two. So if you're selling Haaland, I think to a certain extent, it does make sense, but I would want to at least make 2 transfers. I wouldn't just do Haaland to like a João Pedro. I would try to also upgrade, because once you have so much funds, I think it just makes sense to also upgrade someone in your midfield. For example, go for a Palmer, etc. Right? There's going to be lots of money in midfield. I think even going for Salah, selling Haaland and then going for Salah in midfield also could make sense. It was a good option for captain this week. Actually, before we put on the captaincy poll, that has just reminded me, I just wanted to put in a poll as well to kind of have a sensing of what people feel regarding this period in FPL, because it's been quite quiet, I feel. So I just kind of want a sensing on what's your engagement levels with FPL right now. What's your engagement level with FPL so far this season? I'm gonna say more than usual. I'm gonna say same as usual. I actually put up a poll on Instagram regarding this yesterday, and the results were pretty interesting, so I just wanted to try again on YouTube. So more than usual, same as usual, less than usual, and maybe much less than usual. Let me know what you guys think, right? I mean, the fact that you guys are here probably you're still engaged, but I just wanted to have a sensing, right? And then we'll do a captaincy poll after that as well. This question also comes about, I feel, mainly because there have been some rule changes, right? I think it's also changed the game a little bit, like DEFCON being introduced also means that players such as Anderson, for example, there's someone that just ticks along throughout the whole season, but it's a less exciting pick. Maybe changes the way you appreciate FPL as well. So yeah, let me know in the comments and also in the poll. Let's have a look at the chat. I'm a little bit far behind. I do apologize. Gabriel Frimpong, Senesi, and Matthias Nunes. Any 3 please suggest? So definitely going to start Gabriel. And Senesi against Burnley, I would also start Senesi. So it comes down to Matthias Nunes or Frimpong. And for the time being, I actually think I prefer Frimpong just about. I feel like you should just keep the extra free transfer. Yeah, I mean, so with regards to selling Haaland, pretty much if you sell Haaland, I would do it if I'm making a double change. If not, then I just keep the transfer, save it for later on. I think if for those of you guys with like 3 free transfers right now, or even 4 free transfers, you're gonna find it really handy as we approach the blanks and doubles, because then more chip strategies are open to you. You don't necessarily have to go with the popular strategy of wildcard 32, bench boost 33, and free hit 34. For now, it feels like the template strategy, but for those with lots of transfers, I don't think that's the only strategy that you can go with, because in Gameweek 36, there's also likely going to be a double then. So yeah, if you don't use your chips in the earlier parts, right, 32, 33, 34, potentially saving it for later on could also make sense. I'm captaining Bruno. Yeah, we'll do a captaincy poll later on. Start Wilson or Enzo. For the time being, I still would probably prefer to start Wilson ahead of Enzo. My thoughts surrounding Wilson for now is I'm just a little bit worried if he doesn't start. I feel like he could come on, right? And based on what he's also said about himself in some interviews, it feels like he's definitely back for the Burnley game in 31, so he's also not a sell. So then in that case, with Wilson, it's a bit tricky, because if he's kind of fit but doesn't start, I don't want him coming on for a 1-pointer. So that's why I'm actually having some thoughts of starting Rodgers ahead of Wilson. But let's see. Engaged managers are going to predominantly captain Fernandes. I'm going to go Ekitike. Just got to hope he starts, as Gakpo got rested last game week. Yeah, it's pretty much. I think when you look at Haaland and Ekitike, they're definitely more explosive than Bruno Fernandes against Aston Villa at home. But what Bruno Fernandes offers is just security, right? So it kind of depends on what kind of manager you are, I would say. Raya, Virgil, Timber, Gabriel, Senesi, Tavernier, Bruno, Sa, Dango, Ekitike, and Haaland. Benches, Dubravka, Anderson, Raul, and Rodon. Should I use the bench boost? I'd say no. Nico Potato says, hello Leon, how are you? I'm good. I hope you're doing well as well. Should I start Wilson or Krupi? I start Krupi ahead of Wilson. Start Strand, Larson, and Njai, or sell Haaland to buy Thiago and fund Mukiele to Konate / Senesi, wildcard in hand to switch back in 32. I don't actually like the defensive transfer there. It feels quite short term. Maybe it feels a bit of a waste of transfers as well. I'm expecting that you have other players on the bench as well. That would also affect my recommendation for you. But as just based off of what I'm looking at, I think I might just hold. I probably wouldn't make the transfers. Start Munoz or Richards. Really scared about 1 point for Munoz. Yeah, I mean, I start Richards in that case, because for Munoz, it seems like he's going to be fit, but again, kind of a similar situation to Wilson. So you could get hurt, I would say. You could. Let's have a look. Captaincy, we'll do a captaincy poll later on. Captaincy is actually not straightforward this week. Parcero Fantasy, nice to have you in the chat. Starting 11, Raya, Gabriel, Virgil, Hill. It's pretty similar to my backline. Anderson, Rice, Dango, Fernandes, Haaland, Ekitike, Thiago, benches. I'd actually roll, just roll. Big up Faisal says, are you going to sell Haaland for Salah? Nah. I'm not going to do it this week. I only have 1 free transfer. Suggest to sell Haaland by Ekitike. Liverpool should have at least 3 goals against Spurs. I do think that Spurs are just in a difficult spot right now. I do see that. By the way, let me just make sure that I don't kind of, especially for those who are just streaming in or just coming into the stream, I'm gonna just put it up like this for now. Let me arrange the stream a little bit. Yeah, I'm just gonna do this for now because that feels to me like what I might be doing. I don't want a Wilson one pointer, essentially. Oh, the poll is interesting. I mean, half of you guys here in the chat. I would also say that the fact that you guys are here also does skew it a little bit, but same as usual is about 50%. The rest is quite split, right? It's quite split between less than usual, much less than usual, and then more than usual. Josh, nice to have you in the chat. Josh is a member in our FPL Consult Telegram. So nice to have you in the chat as well. Hope you're doing good. Melvin, evening to you. Should I start Wilson or Gehi since Wilson might not start? Because it's defenders versus midfielders, I actually prefer to start the attacker. Right. So in your case, I would start Wilson. Is Mbumo a good pick this week? I am too annoyed because he's playing on the right. If I sell him, who to go for? Mbumo doesn't feel like a sell to me, you know. Mbumo doesn't feel like a sell to me. I would be prioritizing saving transfers now, particularly because the blanks and doubles are coming. Alan says, hi bro, midfield, Wilson, Bruno, Enzo, Rogers, Semenyo. Which four to start? It depends on what you think will be Wilson's minutes, because definitely we don't have any confirmation. If you're afraid of a one pointer, then it'd be the other four then. And it's good that you have Semenyo. I think he's a pretty big rank killer for most people. K7, nice to have you in the chat. Good morning to you. Alan says answered that as well. Would you bench boost Dubravka, Rice, Enzo, Maguire all playing at home? I mean, that does tempt me a little bit, but the fact is that Enzo is playing Newcastle and Maguire is playing Aston Villa. So I wouldn't say those are stellar fixtures. And then Dubravka, I mean, I do expect Bournemouth to score. So I probably wouldn't bench boost that. I think you can get to a better bench boost in Gameweek 33. Is Gabriel a good captain shout this week? I actually think yes, I think yes. But he wouldn't be the top 3 though. I would still rank those attackers above him. Like Bruno, Haaland, Ekitike. I would still, even though minutes are a little bit harder to predict this week because of Champions League, I would still put them ahead of Gabriel. That's just my thoughts. Start Njai or Wilson. I start Wilson because Njai is pretty much playing the best defense in the league. K7 says your FPL engagement should be determined by your ability to work out a way to gain rank in a fun way. So I think it is interesting. After looking at some of the responses on this about FPL engagement, and because we have had so much downtime. The Gameweek 30 deadline honestly has felt like such a long way away. So during the break, pretty much I was reading Twitter and a lot of people were kind of having some discourse as to whether why has their engagement. I mean, definitely there are people who feel more engaged, and that's great, right? If they enjoy the current state of the game, maybe the introduction of more free transfers or DEFCON, fair enough. That's fair enough. But I also know that there's a good group of people as well who feel like the game has changed a little bit from last time. Not only because of rule changes, but also some have cited like content creators and the content that's going out, making some people just feel as if they're just following content creators or copying moves, and then just making it less exciting, or potentially because content creators, whether it's videos here on YouTube or even just on Twitter threads, they are saying that it's harder to find a differential because content is more readily available. I actually have a different view on that. I think that is great that that content creators, whether it's on X or whether it's on YouTube, are helping everyone to just pretty much get a better grasp of differentials for the week that you should go for, players to transfer in, recommendations, etc. I think it raises a level of FPL, but I also do understand that some people feel like that has made the game a little bit less exciting because it's harder to find differentials. But I think either ways, there's still ways to go about doing it. FPL is a game that you can play your own way. And yeah, look for your own differentials, like what K7 has said. So many. Even I've watched a video by FPL Focal earlier this week where he was interviewing the current number one, and he also has his own style of play. I mean, fair enough, right? FPL is definitely going to involve a huge amount of luck. It's the first season that the world number one currently is playing, but yeah, I mean, there's just so many ways to play FPL. So I just feel like my take is that it's great that people are raising level of the game, right? So yeah, lots of different opinions on that. Just let me know your thoughts along as we go on in the stream. But yeah, pretty interesting to just read through all of that. Mukiele, Anderson, Rodon, Gabriel, Hill, 2 free transfers, 2 million in the bank. Am I meant to choose 2, Alan? Am I meant to choose 2 out of those few? Can Thiago versus Wolves haul at least a double digit? I am wary of how Wolves are on a bit of a resurgence right now, which is why I haven't actually really considered Thiago as a captaincy option. I mean, I would say maybe at least 10 game weeks ago, when we look at Wolves, we're looking at that's a team that's going to concede lots of goals. But recently, you've seen them kind of, really perform at a different level. They're winning teams recently, right? So their performance, I would say, doesn't make it straightforward to captain Thiago, even though he is playing at the GTEC. So I do think Brentford win this, but yeah, not enough for me to captain him. Mr. Tendai81 says, "How are you, mate? Hope you're good." I am good. I hope you're good as well. I've got midfield of Semenyo, Bruno, Mbumo, Rice. The forwards are Thiago, Haaland. Benches Mane, Alderete, and Wilson. 4 free transfers. Feels like I need Ekatike or at least Verts in midfield. I'd actually say yes. I think you do need some Liverpool in there. And you have 4 free transfers. So I'd actually try to get some. I'd rather go for Ekatike than Verts. I think Ekatike's ceiling is a little bit higher. DM McDonald, nice to have you in the chat. Morning to you. I'm good. Hope you're good as well. Team this week is Martinez, Gabriel, Van Dijk, Hill, Semenyo, Rice, Rogers, Mbumo, Haaland, Thiago, Ekatike. I think that team looks good, bro. I think that team looks good. Dubravka over Martinez? Nah, I wouldn't. Akash, nice to have you in the chat, says, "Hi, on same question as last week. Bench 1 of Cunha." Yes, I do remember this question. So bench 1 of Cunha, Tavernier, Szoboszlai, and Stack. You have to start Tavernier, I'd say. Szoboszlai also, I would definitely start. So it's benching 1 of Stack or Cunha. It's between Cunha and Stack. I want to say benching Stack, but it is close. I mean, which is kind of the story of this season. I feel like Stack, because he has so many routes to points. Okay, I'm not gonna say on the fence here. I'm gonna start Stack ahead of Cunha. So I'd say bench Cunha out of those. Start Wilson or Rogers. I'm currently starting Rogers ahead of Wilson, so that's the answer. Suggest the captain, Tavernier, Bruno, or Thiago. I wouldn't captain Tavernier. So it's Bruno or Thiago. I prefer captaining Bruno over Thiago. Will Munoz start? So it's a doubt. We don't really know. Start Anderson or Wilson? I'd say Anderson. I mean, it's the boring answer, but I start Anderson for safety. Rice, Marshall to Tavernier, João Pedro for -4. Mm, is it worth a -4? This feels like a coin flip to me though. I think I might lean just about towards making the transfers, taking the -4. Andrew says no guarantees Wilson starts. His injury record is not the greatest. I see a cameo role after 60 minutes. That's pretty much why I also have him on the bench, because I know he'll be back in 31 for sure against Burnley, and that kind of tells me that he is fit to a certain extent. So it's not impossible that he comes off the bench if he doesn't start. So yeah, I fully agree with that. Spurs are missing Porro, Van der Ven, and Romero tomorrow. Definitely take advantage of the Liverpool options available. Even guys like McAllister, the game will be an absolute thumping. Yeah, I mean, I'd say Liverpool attackers at least try to have one this week. Which is why it's also tempting for some people with the luxury of transfers to just sell Haaland and get Salah, which I see the appeal for. It's just not open to me because I don't have enough transfers, and I'm trying to save up for the blanks and doubles, where I may try to consider other chip strategies other than the standard, wildcard 32, bench boost 33, free hit 34 kind of strategy. Three free transfers. Haaland plus Lafay to João Pedro and Salah. Captain, bench Wilson. Already have Ekitike, Van Dijk. This is essentially what I'm talking about, right? Like, you have three free transfers, Sam. I would be tempted by that. Will Anderson start? Yeah, Anderson will start for sure. Nottingham Forest one, that is. Bench 2 from Wilson, O'Reilly, Rice, Anderson. I start O'Reilly and Declan Rice, and then I bench Anderson and Wilson. Replace one, Enzo/Rogers, 2 free transfers, 2 million in the bank. I mean, as it stands, Rogers is actually someone that has been quite heavily transferred out this week. Do you go with the crowd, or do you replace Enzo? I actually, I'll take it back one step and I'll say that neither needs to be replaced. JM2233 says, I would have to take a -4 next week anyway, as I don't have an 11. I see. Then I take the -4 this week, because Tavernier and João Pedro this week would be pretty good. Ryan or Jadon Anthony? Ryan. Will you do Munoz to Virgil or Haaland to João Pedro? Probably Munoz to Virgil. Yeah, probably Munoz to Virgil. Let's do a captaincy poll as well. Yeah. You got it spot on. I just recalled. Right. Thanks for the reminder. Let's have a look at the poll first. So there's actually a good 36% of people. 36% of people who feel less engaged than usual. So yeah, I mean, that is pretty much the sensing that I got on the poll that I ran on Instagram as well, which is interesting. I think something for FPL to consider. Obviously, I think some people say it comes down to the football as well. Like the football not being as interesting this season. I mean, it's heavily dependent on like set pieces and physicality this season. Okay, captaincy poll for game week 20. Sorry, game week 30. Let's do Fernandez. Sorry, Bruno. Versus Aston Villa. Haaland. West Ham away. It's Ekitike against Tottenham at home. Okay, I'm gonna throw in other because I think you could also try to go for Gabriel or Thiago as like the last one. So yeah, let me know in the poll where you guys are going for captaincy. Is it worth a free transfer for Roves to Kelleher if you have Dubravka as sub and wild card intact? How many free transfers do you have? I mean, keeper transfers honestly don't feel that good of a use of transfers. I may actually in your position just start Dubravka, you know. Anderson, Rodon, Wilson start 1. Anderson. Gravenberch versus Enzo. Who to pick? Sounds tricky. Maybe, I mean, it's hard to bench Gravenberch against Tottenham when we expect a mauling there. I mean, Newcastle's not easy at all, I'm going to say. Okay, I probably still prefer. Okay, I'm gonna say Gravenberch. Bench Senesi or O'Reilly. I would bench O'Reilly, start Senesi. Starting 11 is Sanchez, Hill, Gabriel, Timber, Rice, Fernandez, Gordon, Ryan, Ekitike, Calvert-Lewin, and Thiago. Subs are Dubravka, Wilson, Bogle, and Van Heck. I'm rolling anyone off the bench you would switch. No, actually, I think as is. Ryan against Burnley is an interesting differential, though. It is an interesting differential that you have. Ekitike for Haaland or just stick I have Thiago, Palmer, Semenyo, etc. Bruno captain. Actually, you already have Palmer. I'd be quite tempted to just bring Ekitike in, to be honest, in your position. Arvin says Captain Salah, Ekitike. If it's between the two, I actually prefer Salah. Would you remove Mbumo for a Liverpool or Bournemouth midfielder? I just keep Mbumo. So Bruno captain is on 50%. That's pretty interesting. Ekitike, the next favorite. Alan says, is Anderson from Fulham expected to start? So I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. I mean, the predictors also have him to start. Yeah, I don't see. I mean, Marco Silva didn't point it out in the press conference, basically. Haaland and Guiu to Ekitike and João Pedro and I would say make those transfers. I would make those transfers, Marcus. Kindoichi, nice to have you in the chat. Start Anderson versus Nottingham Forest away, or Van Heck against Sunderland away, or Rodon against Crystal Palace away. I start the one with the best DEFCON potential, and that's Anderson. Fulham manager did say possible rotation, but wouldn't elaborate. Yeah, so I don't see. I mean, the thing with Anderson is that he got benched previously, but I do think it's also because the turnaround was quite tight and he was recovering from illness. But he's the captain. I don't see a reason why he would suddenly miss out for so many games. And it's not as if his performances have been really poor. I just think he comes back into the 11. First sub, O'Reilly or Wilson. O'Reilly. First up would be O'Reilly for me. Just having a look on Twitter, just make sure as we're getting any information whatsoever. Mark Castley says start 2 of Wilson, Anderson, Rogers, Munoz. I'd go Rogers and Anderson. I would bench Munoz and Wilson. Just safety on minutes, basically. Like this week is actually not the week to mess about with minutes. I feel like we're gonna see a bit of carnage. I feel like we've waited so long for Gameweek 30, and then there's so much uncertainty around minutes, mainly because of Champions League again midweek next week. Kindoichi says thanks, Leon. All good. What's the chip strategy moving forward? So for now, I still am on a wildcard 32, the boring one, which is wildcard 32, bench boost 33, free hit 34. It's boring because I think a lot of people will be on it, but it just makes quite a bit of sense. It just makes quite a bit of sense. I did actually consider using the wildcard a little bit earlier. If you caught up with some of the videos earlier on in the season, I think in Game Week 24, I was considering the wildcard. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm not going to rule out other strategies though, like potentially saving a chip for Game Week 36 where there's going to be another double then. Akash says, sell Timber for Virgil, 3 free transfers. Any other transfer you would suggest? Timber for Virgil. I have Enzo, Rice, Anderson, Bruno, Wilson. I think it's fine actually. I mean, is that transfer even necessary? I think you just hold on to Timber, to be honest. Arvin, all good, all good. George says, is Alderete or Anderson based on DEFCON worth to start over Virgil van Dijk or Senesi? Nah. I would start Virgil van Dijk and Senesi ahead of Anderson or Alderete. Andrew says, Man City lineup will be interesting. Needed 3 points, but at the same time, will want the best starting 11 for the Champions League game. It's essentially that. Could see Haaland and Semenyo benched. I hope so anyways. So I like to shout out like accounts that I usually go to. when it comes to predicted lineups, and I always use Jump the Wave Emma because pretty much it's a case where a lot of the predictors who have been predicting lineups for a couple of seasons now already just pool together their, I guess you could say, wisdom of following the club very closely as well as the forums. So I'm gonna put on screen uh the Man City predicted lineups, and it's presented in this format in terms of percentages. Right, so let me just find the Man City one. Sorry, this is a Liverpool one. Sanchez, Jorgensen. All right, this is the one. So it's tricky, right? It's even the predictors themselves are split on the lineup, and it's very rare that we see this, and it kind of points to how um how it's going to be pretty hard to tell who starts, which is essentially what Andrew is saying, right? It's 75% for Haaland. To put it into context, I think there's not many weeks that he's even below 100%, as you would expect. Players like Foden, Cherki, Marmoush, Savinho, Semenyo. I mean, everyone else aside from all the midfielders pretty much is below 75%. They're all around 50 to 25%. And then there's Gonzalez there. Rodri also seems like he's going to be saved for Champions League. O'Reilly's also another one on 50-50, so that's why I don't mind benching him if you have him this week. 8 Nuri, just 100%. It just makes sense because he feels like the one that they will be willing to just have a run out in this game. And even if he doesn't start in the Champions League, that feels fine. And yeah, I mean, pretty much you look elsewhere. The only ones at 100%, which is crazy, other than 8 Nuri, is Matthias Nunes and Donnarumma. Insane. Start Rogers or Stack. I'll start Rogers ahead of Stack. Rogers or Van Hag, I would start the midfielder over the defender, so that'd be Rogers. I'm interested to have a look at the Liverpool one as well. So we pulled it up just now. Mamadashvili. I think it would be this one. Yeah. So Ekitike is actually on 100%. I mean, for those of you who want to captain Ekitike, this is probably what you want to see. Salah's on 95%. I think in some ways, I also think that even though it feels like a game where Liverpool are going to knock Spurs out of the park, it also does feel like they have to give a certain amount of respect for Spurs and still start. They still want to be scoring, some goals, and even if they want to rest some players, they could always do it in the second half. They don't have to rest a player from the start, and that's why I think Ekitike actually probably will start Gameweek 30. That's why for me in my own team, it's just pretty much, do I captain Bruno Fernandes or Ekitike? For the poll, as expected, I mean, Bruno for safety of minutes, and then there's Ekitike against Spurs, that's 26%. It's going to come down to the wire, I'd say. Rogers, Van Hag, or Mane, I would say Rogers too. I'll still say Rogers. Morgan, Rogers. Going to Captain Ekatike, watch the game finish 0-0 and Van Dijk gets full bonus. I think Liverpool will be disappointed if it's 0-0 though, given the state of their defense. I mean, no Van de Ven, no Romero. I mean, Gabriel, Timber, Virgil Gahey. How solid is this defense, given I have Chalba on the bench? Also thinking of getting O'Reilly or Matthias Nunes. So it should be O'Reilly over Chalaba or Nunes over Gahey. I think, honestly, with your defense, you don't have to get any of those Man City defenders who are in and of themselves, I would say, risky this week. I think you keep your defenders. Gabriel, Timber, and Virgil all feel fine to start. John says, all right, mate, 2 free transfers. What do you think about Munoz to Virgil van Dijk? Well, it depends, right? Who else are the defenders that you have? Can you get away with just saving the transfer? I think saving the transfer at this period of the season feels pretty critical. But if you really have to play that player because your other defenders are, for example, Mukiele is not going to play, then it makes sense, right, to go for a safer option in Van Dijk than Munoz. All right, let me go back to the team. So Bruno's on 51%. I mean, if for those who want to go different, I think I'm considering Ekatike captain. I'm actually having a look at Aston Villa being the only team. I'm gonna gone a bit quiet, but I think Aston Villa is the only team that won in Europe this midweek. So actually Aston Villa, I mean, Ollie Watkins scored in the Europa League against Lille. And yeah, I mean, Morgan Rogers got taken off towards the end of the game. Should be fine for, I mean, rest, a decent enough-ish rest for him. I'm just thinking in my head how I think Aston Villa are going to perform against Manchester United. I mean, obviously Lille and Manchester United are not teams that I want to compare against each other. But yeah, because it plays into my decision as to whether I want to captain Ekatike. I would need Aston Villa to do well against Manchester United. Alan says, hi bro, same defenders as you, just a lack of Virgil and have Anderson instead. Would you recommend to get Virgil to replace Mukiele/Rodon? I would say I'd say yes. I'd say yes. I think it makes sense to just yeah. I'd actually make the transfer. I mean, simple as that. Dominique says, "Hi Leon, chasing rank, 2 free transfers. Worth doing Haaland and Rice with Pedro and Salah and Captain Salah." I would say yes. I mean, especially if you're chasing rank, then it makes sense to just sell Haaland and get some differential players in Salah. Brian, nice to have you in the chat. Need some advice. Defenders are Senesi, Van Dijk, Gabriel. Goalkeeper is Sanchez. Midfield is Dango, Bruno, Rice, Anderson. Forwards are Thiago Ekitike, Haaland. It looks fine to me. Why is KDB on the bench? Keenan Dewsbury Hall, I guess that's what you mean, which is KDH. KDB is not in the squad. Can't get Raya. Who's the second best option? Keepers wise, if it's keepers, I would say if you can't get Raya, I'd look at those cheaper options already. Potentially Brentford. Kelleher. How nailed is Sanchez to start? I think Sanchez starts this week. I mean, Jorgensen just got a run out. Excuse me. As always, we can go to the reliable voice of the crowd. Sanchez is actually 54% to start. So still the slight favorite ahead of Jorgensen. But I say it's not by default, I would say. Should I sell Haaland for Ekitike? Can't decide. Pedro is my third forward for a while. Wildcard done, I'm chasing. Then I guess it depends, firstly, on how many free transfers you have. And if you have a plan to get Haaland back in later on, especially when Manchester City double, then that would be ideal. If you don't, I actually would prefer to keep Haaland in the team. If you don't. Because if you sell him, which is also perfectly fine, you just have to probably be okay with not having Haaland for quite a while. It's not easy to just take money out from Haaland, spend it elsewhere, and then want to get Haaland back again later on. And the only way that selling Haaland would be justified is actually to take that money and spend it usefully elsewhere. So, point is to say, it's going to be hard to, take him out and put him back in again. Okay, get your questions in. We're gonna do a couple more questions before we call it a day. For the Gameweek 30 deadline stream, which has been fun, by the way. Thanks to all of you guys who have been tuning in. Appreciate all of you guys being here with me on a Saturday morning or afternoon, which is very nice. Bench 2 of Virgil, Gabriel, Hill, O'Reilly. Wow, so many. Or should I do the bench boost? I'd bench O'Reilly and I'd bench Gibbs White. So I would say no bench boost. I wouldn't bench boost that team, basically, Monta. Between Verts and Kruvby, who's the best to start? Oof. Just about Verts. Just got rid of Rodgers for Soberslide. Lost it with Rodgers. Fair enough. It hasn't been easy owning Rodgers. We're still waiting for him to return. I mean, since I bought him, it seems like I'm the reason why he hasn't been returning. Maxonite says, quick question. Matty Cash, who has been useless for me since I brought him 3 weeks ago, already used the wild card. If you're getting a defender this week, if you don't have Virgil already, I would go there. I assume you have Gabriel as well, so I don't think going double Arsenal defense is necessary. So it comes down to either Bournemouth defenders like Hill or Senesi. I would say I prefer Hill over Senesi because Senesi is on the suspension tightrope. And there is Brentford defenders as well, but I probably wouldn't go there. So I'd say either Liverpool, Bournemouth, or Brentford. That's where I'd go. So Van Dijk first choice, and then maybe Hill. All right, I think that's pretty much it. We're going to call it a day for today. Thank you, all of you guys, for tuning in. Just a quick wrap up of the team. So I am pretty sure that I'm going to leave it as such. I don't want to be stung by a Wilson one-pointer, even though I know full well that that could mean I miss out on a Wilson haul as well. But if he will be here, hopefully that's a bit of a differential for me. I'm actually quite keen on captaining Ekatike. Quietly keen on this. And I'm going to leave it on this for now. I would just say I'm tempted by Ekatike, right? Enough for me to... I mean, also the fact that a lot of the predictors have Ekatike at the start, which I think in hindsight also does make sense. You would want a win as Liverpool, but you're not going to take it too lightly as well. Definitely not so lightly to the point where they go with the front three that I suggested at the start of the stream, which is Ingamoa on the left, Gakpo number 9, and then Salah on the right. I don't think they would do that. So for me, Ekatike still starts. That's a bit of a gamble. So I think for now, just about swapped the armband to him. But safety of minutes wise, then Bruno Fernandes would be the one. So pick your poison. And yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. So thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate all the questions that you guys have put in. Thank you for spending some time with me today on the deadline stream. All the best for Gameweek 30. And I'll probably catch you guys again on the Gameweek 31 deadline stream, which I don't think I'll be able to get content out before Gameweek 31. So if I don't, then I'll see you on the stream again. All the best, and I'll catch you guys very, very soon. Bye-bye.